Hey, y'all. Welcome to this week's edition of our midweek devotion. I'm the Reverend Will, the senior minister at First Christian Church in Fulton, Missouri. And each week, about this time, we stop what we're doing to focus a little bit more on the spiritual matters, hoping to hear a word of grace in an otherwise very loud and not graceful world. And so we will get right into it. There's this TikTok video I saw recently that spoke to me on sort of a visceral level. It had the title, I'm a Christian, but I'm not a Hobby Lobby Christian. And it was a guy walking around Hobby Lobby pointing out some of the ridiculous things in that store. I'm of the same mind, particularly when it comes to the type of decor that has scripture verses and quotes that sound like scripture on them. You won't find them in my house. I don't like such pieces of home decor for the simple reason that our Bible wasn't written for us to pull out single verses for interpretation and make us feel good. Too often, well-meaning people of faith scour the Bible for quotes that sound good, that make them feel better, that offer them hope. It's not a bad intention, mind you. It's just what invariably happens ends up happening that the verses are stripped of their context and their real power, stripped of what God is actually trying to say through them. Philippians 4:13 is maybe the best example. I can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth me. That's the King James Version. You often see this strengthening quote put on by athletes, calling on Jesus to give them strength for the approaching competition. However, Paul wrote this famous line as he was sitting, rotting away in a prison cell, not on a football field. And more specifically, Paul is talking about being content in all aspects of life, the good and the bad, because of what Christ has done for him. The first verse right before this one is, I know the experience of being in need and of having more than enough. I've learned the secret to being content in any and every circumstance, whether full or hungry, or whether having plenty or being poor. It is interesting to me that it seems Paul also includes being in plenty or having more than enough as something to be endured. And so while it's a good quote, it has nothing to do with physical strength. But every once in a while, I come upon verses from scripture that I actually think would be good candidates for wall art, that I think maybe I should put that on a palette and put it on the wall. They're usually deep cuts, not well known and surprising. A line from the assigned psalm from this past Sunday fits the bill. The psalmist said, let go of anger and leave rage behind. Don't get upset. It will only lead to evil. While I can't imagine many people would make palette art out of that verse, maybe they should. And then the context of the psalm makes the line even better. The psalmist is dealing with the all too common problem of bad people receiving good things. You know, when people who put any number of combinations of the seven deadly sins on display for all the world to see and are rewarded in kind. Those who work hard, who put their head down, who don't seek glory, are giving of themselves, including money, and simply try to live out the ways of God. Well, where are they? They become fluff pieces in the news, quickly brought up, quickly forgotten. And so we focus more on those bad people receiving good things. Of course, we don't try to live out our faith because of some reward in the here and now. Following Jesus isn't supposed to be easy or glamorous. Denying yourself to pick up your cross is what we're told is required to be a disciple. It didn't end well for Jesus, so we shouldn't be surprised if we don't receive acclamation and recompense. But why? We say, why do they have to be rewarded. A robust view of sin, death, and the devil still being active on this side of the kingdom helps, but so does Psalm 37. Let go of anger and leave rage behind. Don't get upset. It will only lead to evil, because evildoers will be eliminated. But those who hope in the Lord, they will possess the land. In just a little while, the wicked won't exist. If you go looking around their place, they won't be there. But the weak will inherit the land. They will enjoy a surplus of peace. It is a reminder that the ways of the world will end. God's kingdom will come, and sin, death, and the devil will be no more. Evil, a privation of God's goodness, will cease to exist in all its expressions, even inside us. I know I have some things that need to get burned away. You probably do too. But in the meantime, it's probably best to let go of anger and leave rage behind. Certainly, we are to work for and show and display God's kingdom now, but not by way of being upset or angry or raging. If we are guided by those emotions, we'll probably just act the same way as those we are upset act. We aren't to let other people set the standard for our behavior. Instead, we let our relationship with God set the standard, a relationship based on grace, mercy, and forgiveness. It's probably not the worst reminder one can throw on a wall. Thanks for joining me for this week's devotion. I hope you heard an encouraging word, a gracious word. You're more than welcome to join us for worship this Sunday. We'll gather together in person and online on Facebook Live and on YouTube at 10:30. If we don't see you, our message is the same as always. God be with you till we meet again.